Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session today. We're so pleased that you're here. My name is Kate Del Castel. I work in advancement at the University of Waterloo. So in my role, I get to work with individuals, often alumni, and employers like yourself, who want to do more with the University of Waterloo. So whether that's hiring more students, diversifying hiring, supporting students through philanthropy, sponsorship, or other strategic opportunities across our campus community. And I'm excited to be here today and co-leading this session with my good colleague, Jeff Chamberlain, who is a co-op account manager and based in our beautiful capital, Ottawa today. So hi, Jeff. So why are we here? What is this session about? I am often asked, as Jeff is and other colleagues, by employers, how do I make an impact at Waterloo? What else can I be doing to build my brand, enhance my brand, change my brand on campus, and really connect in an authentic way with top talent? How do I possibly stand out in a sea of co-op employers? And so we are going to attempt to dive into and tackle those questions today. We'll cover what it actually means to have an on-campus presence, brand. Why does it matter? What are some ways that you can start thinking about and building this brand? Jeff will kick things off with a few slides, kind of laying the groundwork. I will talk about ways to elevate and maybe tailor that approach when partnering with Waterloo. And then the best part of today's session will be a conversation with our guest employer speaker, Chris Tung. Chris is from Rippling. I had a chance to meet Chris last year, and he's really put into practice a lot of what Jeff and I are going to talk about. And so you'll hear from him directly, what this has been like to put into practice. And Chris's passion for developing talent and really helping students find their fit at Rippling and any organization is something that I think we all share in common. So Chris, please don't go anywhere, and we'll have you on camera in about 10 minutes or so. We do recognize that in this session, we have a diverse audience. So we have folks who are joining us for the first time and just thinking about hiring co-op students, through to folks like Chris, who have been hiring consistently year over year. Thank you very much. And you're all showing up in here for different reasons, we imagine. And our goal today for Jeff and I is really that you walk away with one or two ideas of how you can think about expanding and growing your partnership with the University of Waterloo beyond hiring. And success for us looks like wanting to have a follow-up conversation, one or two things resonate, and we're so happy to continue that conversation after today. So before I pass it to Jeff to take things away, we would love to know who you are. We have so many on the call with us. So if you can use the chat, say hello, where are you joining us from? And we genuinely want to know, why did you sign up for this session? What are you hoping to learn? And hopefully we can check that off in the next 30 minutes together. So with that, Jeff, I'll pass it over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Kate. Yeah, so we're going to get started, and it's really, the first thing is really, what exactly is an on-campus employer brand? When we refer to that, I always like to get definitions out of the way, and so we're all on the same page in regards to that. So simply put, an on-campus employer brand refers to the reputation and perception of the organization as an employer among students. It represents how attractive the company is as a potential place to work, based on factors such as culture, values, work opportunities, and overall relationship with the academic community. In essence, it's about creating a reputation as an employer with the goal of making students eager to work for your organization after graduation or during co-op terms, and is built through a variety of engagements with students. Okay, so why invest in on-campus branding? Why is this important? Just to throw out a little bit of a few stats here, a recent study indicated that 3 or 4 companies struggle to find the right talent. As an account manager working with employers daily, I constantly hear that it's their #1 challenge. It's a competitive world out there, as you know, for attracting and retaining that talent. And in addition to all of that, we have a new cohort of students every year that may know little or nothing about your organization. So it's a new group, a new audience, so to speak, that is ready, willing, and eager to listen to what you have to say. As we know, universities are a prime source of fresh, motivated candidates. And by establishing your brand on campus, you increase the visibility amongst the students, which can lead to stronger recognition and brand loyalty later on. When students identify with your company's values and culture early on, they're more likely to stay engaged, to be committed to the company after being hired. They'll feel more connected to your mission and vision, and ultimately that can increase retention rates over time. Furthermore, it allows you to differentiate your organization from the competitors and stand out in a crowded recruiting landscape. Finally, by interacting with the students on campus, you can gain valuable insights into their expectations, their desires, and their career ambitions. This information can help you as an employer shape your brand messaging and recruitment strategies to better align with the preferences of your target audience. So I just wanted to talk briefly about top Gen Z values. If you sat in on the previous session that was hosted by my colleagues Dave and Judine on leveraging generational strengths, they went into a fair bit more detail than I'm going to hear with regards to the values and attitudes towards work of Gen Z students. And all of that work is research-based through our Work Learn Institute, and they do exceptional work in all areas surrounding cooperative education and work-integrated learning. Just again, to clarify, Gen Z is typically defined as students born between, or people born between 1997 and 2012. Again, why is this important? By 2030, Gen Z will encompass about 30% of the workforce, holding almost all the entry-level jobs. And in the end, students' values fit will ultimately predict the overall organizational attractiveness to them. All right, so some things to consider when building your brand, and how does this translate into what a brand should look like? What types of things should you focus on in your messaging when engaging students? Here are some things to consider. It's not a definitive list, but just some ideas if you're thinking about creating a brand or you have one, you're not sure it's quite working for you, or you want to tweak it a little bit. So the first thing on the list is really just around co-op experience. What does this look like from an interview to work term completion perspective? What does onboarding look like? What kind of support is provided throughout the work term? Does mentorship exist? Are other students hired, and how can you foster team building within that cohort? Are there social activities? What type of work will the students be doing? What is the impact of the work? Things like company culture. Showcase your company's values, the work environment. What's the employee experience all about? Are you a good corporate citizen? Do you give back? Are you aligned with student values? What does the work arrangement look like? And by that, I'm really referring to, are the hours flexible? Is the location flexible? Is it hybrid, in person? Is it remote, or a combination? Some of the research that we've done indicate that about 3/4 of our students want some sort of hybrid arrangement. In terms of career development, that's key to a lot of these Gen Z students. Emphasize those opportunities for growth, training, and advancement. Communicate your commitment to employee well-being and a healthy work-life balance. And finally, commitment to inclusion and belonging, as this is becoming increasingly important to our students as well. So what options exist to build your corporate brand? Typically, I like to break these down into two categories. I'll dwell on the first, and Kate will touch on the second one here. The first one is what we refer to as standard engagement opportunities. I sometimes refer to these as off-the-shelf branding opportunities. Employers could select the one that best suits what it is they're trying to achieve, what their hiring goals are, etc. These types of opportunities will appeal to a broad range of employers as they are relatively low cost and can typically be coordinated with minimal effort and minimal budget. We do provide support for some of these. It's usually provided in the ways of advertising and logistics and those kinds of things. The most common of which are our employer information sessions, which are typically run every term, typically in the first 2 months of every term. You can sign up, they're relatively low cost. And they're probably the single most utilized method for which employers connect with students. Some of the other options include things like job fairs, which are run twice a year within our departments in February and September. And there's also some other events that happen on campus that are student run, sometimes faculty focused, and those happen various times throughout the year. Some employers will engage a campus ambassador, which is typically a student that's worked for an organization previously that are returning to a study term, and they can help promote your organization and act as that ambassador, that person that can connect with students on campus and tell them all about the great things you're doing at your organization. Finally, we have our Employer Impact Awards, which I strongly encourage everyone to consider applying to. There's 6 categories. There's impacts on EDI, on innovation, on international excellence, on research, sustainability, and impact on student experience. And I believe those come up in late fall, towards Christmas, maybe early January in terms of the applications. All right, Kate, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. So I'm often brought into conversations with employers by folks like Jeff when employers are looking to go beyond the opportunities that he shared. They are looking to make a greater impact, and this might look like co-creating an opportunity together, customizing something, but it's really based on that question I said at the top of our session, which is, how do we make a lasting impact, build a strong, authentic presence on campus, and attract top talent? And so the answer to that is unfortunately not straightforward. It's not a one size fits all. The approach will look different for every organization. It really depends on your goals, what type of budget you have, what is your people power to commit to a talent strategy with the University of Waterloo. But the most successful partnerships that I have seen really center on a commitment to hiring from Waterloo. Waterloo is a priority school for the organization, a desire to make a lasting impact, build meaningful relationships across our campus community, across your organization, which results in really this multi-pronged long-term approach. And so on this slide, I want to highlight a few examples of how organizations are really showing up and doing this in a meaningful way. So the first one, scholarships and awards. This by its nature is not a new or novel idea, but I think often employers don't realize that they can set up named awards, say for example, $5,000 per award for students from the programs that you want to recruit from. Scholarships and awards go a long way in helping Waterloo attract and retain the very best and brightest talent in the world, which is the talent that you want to then recruit. And I've seen this done really well, where then when scholarship recipients are introduced to employer donors, there's a beautiful synergy that happens. And this can be a great way to, again, identify top talent and really showcase your commitment to investing in developing Waterloo talent. Another program that I love and where we're seeing a lot of involvement from individuals and employers is something called Co-op for Community. So this is a program that helps students gain experience while working at charities or nonprofits that simply otherwise can't afford to hire students. We know that organizations care deeply and are involved with many local nonprofits and charities, your local food bank, a shelter, some sort of community group. And so Co-op for Community really aligns your corporate social responsibility with your talent strategy. Organizations can pay for a Waterloo student to work at a charity, a nonprofit that means a lot to you as an organization. And you're really creating a triple impact. You're empowering a student to have a meaningful work experience, that organization that you're so closely aligned with. gets the talent they need, and the storytelling on multiple levels can have a lasting impact. And the last one I would like to highlight on this slide is called We Accelerate. And this is a really unique program for students in their very first co-op work term. We heard in previous sessions, and certainly I think many can relate on this call, that your focus for hiring is often upper year senior students based on the work that needs to be done. We Accelerate as an opportunity for employers to really show up and invest and develop early talent, students who are just starting their co-op work term. And so this can be done through setting up awards, offering meaningful projects for students to work on, and kind of wrap around career building opportunities. So before we jump into the conversation with Chris, I did want to highlight a really exciting initiative that's been striking a chord with many employers and certainly among our co-op students. And it's based on this idea that Waterloo co-op students add tremendous value to the organizations that they work at. We heard it in a previous session. We know that many students go on to build careers at the co-op employers that they work at. I think probably many people on this call would have some great examples to share about that. But the reality is that many students do face financial or systemic barriers that make it really hard to take advantage of the full co-op experience. So what we are doing with this new initiative is we are creating a new community of co-op employers who want to pay it forward, who recognize that Waterloo talent is unique. They prioritize hiring from Waterloo, and they want to ensure that there's a strong future talent pipeline. And so the ask to get involved is to make a small one-time annual donation, what you can, when you can, to support students who need it through awards, through meaningful co-op work terms, essentially helping to level the playing field for students in co-op. And so this isn't for everyone, but certainly maybe for you if you too really recognize that tremendous value co-op students bring, and you want to pay it forward and help to develop that future talent that so many of us rely on recruiting. So employers are being recognized who are part of this program. So this is kind of a small, simple step that we're seeing employers want to take. We're suggesting paying it forward with a minimum of 1% of what you pay co-op students to invest that back into co-op. And so we're excited to be seeing employers leaning into this. And if this opportunity or any of the ones that Jeff and I flagged resonate, we would love to keep the conversation going after today's session. So switching gears, I would like to welcome Chris from Rippling, joining us from the West Coast today, to translate everything that I'm saying into real talk. And the audience has heard plenty from Jeff and I. So Chris, welcome. Thank you for making the time to be with us today. Especially, I know you mentioned this is your week off. So I think that really speaks to your commitment to the University of Waterloo and hiring our students. So a genuine thanks. And may I please invite you to please introduce yourself to our audience.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kate. So hi, everyone. My name is Chris. So I'm the University Program Manager here at Rippling. Rippling is a startup in the San Francisco Bay Area. We do things like HR, IT, and finance applications for companies to basically run their businesses. So I run the program, so basically meaning I get to recruit all of our interns and also make sure they're having a really good time with us once they're here. I wasn't always in this space. I've only been in this space about 3 years. Before that, I actually was a structural engineer, so designed buildings, made them safe for earthquakes, and had done that for about 7 years, thinking that was my end career, what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Really looking kind of back on it, particularly during the pandemic, I was thinking about, my career and what I wanted to do. This was the right path. And realized, on the side, I was working with college students a lot in my extracurriculars. I was running the intern program at my company, which was, only 1 or 2 interns a year, but was having a lot more fun with that than my actual day to day. So I decided to kind of make the career shift and jump into this space. And now I get to run this program that has been pretty much doubling every single year. And I get to kind of see students grow from that initial interview to growing technically and, with those soft skills throughout the internship and get to really, give them offers to come back with us full time and see them grow even further in their career. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
I love that, Chris. It reminds me of our keynote speaker who said we're all in sales. And I was thinking that, yes, if that's true, I think being in sales in higher education, helping students find their fit, find their way in the world of work, that's got to be like one of the most positive spaces to be in. So love that. Thank you. So Chris, Rippling began hiring in students in 2019 from the University of Waterloo. So since then, you've had a slow build, is what you have said to me. And so I'd love for you to tell us about that journey. Why did you hire from the University of Waterloo to start? And then what activities, kind of investments along the way since then have you felt paid off, or maybe ones that didn't?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first proponents of the intern program before I was with the company, they were from Waterloo, one of our senior engineering leaders. So naturally, when we were creating the program, they decided, hey, like we should look into Waterloo. Now, of course, in the beginning, we had, I think only 5 interns, 2 of which were from Waterloo. And from then on, it's just kind of grown pretty steadily. I would say in the beginning, without any natural, without any like forced requirements or inputs, we just had more Waterloo students applying to our program, getting in and doing quite well. It was pretty obvious just that, with the cohorts that we had, there was a reasonable amount of Waterloo students and that they always performed quite well. And also their resumes looked really good. Because of the co-op program, they had a lot more internships or co-ops and experience under the belt. They were able to really hit the ground running and do more with their time here. So since then, a few years ago, we started looking at opportunities to get involved, and I came across the employer information sessions in that same link that was provided before. I found one; it was very affordable and something that I could easily tell my team and my manager, like, hey, I think we should invest in this and get more talent from this school. By doing that, first I was able to do virtual employer information sessions. As I mentioned before, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, so not exactly close distance-wise to Waterloo. So wanted to do a few virtual sessions just to see what it was like, but thought it was a nice, unique experience to basically have all the attention on you as a single company. So we did that, and then naturally, as I saw that that was having impact, one, because I started when I opened my applications, I was getting people that had been to that session. So that not only showed that people were listening, but they were engaged and then actually applied afterwards. So then I started doing in-person employer information sessions. So I did my first one this last year, being able to come to the Waterloo campus and meet students in person. I also got to meet some of my current intern class at that session as well. So it was really kind of
Oh, nice.
wonderful just to have that pre-meeting. But just getting to, engage with the students and, it kind of establish us as a brand. We've naturally had more Waterloo students apply just by word of mouth of students who have interned with us, but getting to be there in front of the students has really elevated this and also made my life as a recruiter easier. Usually in these sessions, I go through things that I would normally go through in an interview, but because of the sessions, I don't have to do that with the candidates. They already know the spiel about what Rippling is like, what the program is like, and really kind of just makes my life easier. The overall goal was really to just get our brand out there and have people coming to us more than us going to them, if you will. But ultimately, it has been a relatively steady growth over time, and just pretty much constantly made sense with the kind of talent that Waterloo provides and the people that we would have at our internship.
It's great. Music to my ears. Thanks, Chris. Um, so like many employers who are joining us on this call, Rippling does hire other grade students from other institutions. So what made you really decide to double down with Waterloo, prioritize hiring from the University of Waterloo? And how did you get the approval internally to make that happen? And then what did that look like kind of externally from your role?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in general, I've really enjoyed the students that I've worked with at Waterloo. And naturally, as a recruiter, I have, certain, metrics that I'm trying to hit, right? It's always great when students join the program, but also when they do well and they want to come back and they have made rather large impacts. So naturally, a lot of students have been able to hit those marks, and I wanted to try to make sure we can do that more. Now, I think I can hopefully speak for everyone on this call that we want to engage with students. We want them to want to be at our companies and, of course, to do well. But to, be able to drive that impact and drive that change is not necessarily our choice. The people that are involved, whether it be financially or just kind of the overall decisions and where we use our time. So for me, I was able to kind of constantly provide my managers and execs on like, hey, where's the talent coming from, right? You know, who are the students? Where are they? What schools are they coming from? And which ones have done really well? It just happened kind of overwhelmingly that the Waterloo students were pretty much at the top of the list. They were always a rather large percentage of our class, without showing truthfully any favoritism or anything like that. They just happened to pass our interviews and do really well like that. So for me, it was about getting that information up front to the people who can make those decisions and saying, hey, like, I think this is a worthwhile investment. It also isn't that much of an investment. And let's go and try to see if we can double down on, what we're doing here and try to get that top quality talent to come to us instead. Yeah.
Okay, so pretty straightforward and not a lot of pushback because yeah, you showed the data.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So, oh, go ahead.
No, I just found that, at least at my company, managers and people that are usually holding the money, they like to see the numbers in terms of why it makes sense.
That's great. Well, you did a great job, Chris. So thank you. So in the previous slide and what I was speaking about are these opportunities that do require an investment. And Rippling has, you said, you started from let's try out an employer information session. And now you are stepping forward as an organization saying, yes, we would like to invest and make a donation based on what you can. And so why did the organization decide to donate? What can you share about that process and the feedback that you got? And how does that investment strengthen and relate to your talent strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, from my perspective, I like the opportunity to provide and give back to students. I mean, I think back to my college days, and getting an internship in general was difficult, but also getting an internship like in the early parts of your college career seems almost impossible. So I've always been, wanting to make sure that interns and students in general are getting more opportunities to do different things, to get that experience, to get their foot in the door. I was a strong proponent of this, but also wanting to kind of convince the leadership that we should do this as well. I think, being able to join this initiative to me was important because one, uh, I think it's a really good thing. But then from their perspective, I was also able to say like, hey, this is a really great opportunity to, increase our brand in Waterloo. It's great that, we get word of mouth and that people, apply for us. But wouldn't it be great if at some point everyone just kind of comes to us instead? So going into that, you have to invest in the school. You have to make sure that you're giving, inputs and you're making sure that people understand who you are. And for me, I thought it was a good representation of, us as a company, but also just the great opportunity to help students in general. So I wanted to emphasize that to the company and say, hey, this is a great opportunity. We've already built this relationship to, by doing the employee information sessions, let's go ahead and do more. One, because it's the right thing to do, because we get a lot of talent from Waterloo, but also it'll have some return on investment as well. And, that's something that the executives all like to hear, but was also working in my favor of wanting to do something for the students.
That's wonderful, Chris. And I just want to say for the audience that I did not script your remarks by any means. So this is just wonderful to hear. And I think, yeah, we all want to pay it forward and support students in any way we can. I think a lot of employers and folks don't realize that the University of Waterloo, we are a registered charity, and we do rely on the generosity of our donors, employers, and individuals to really enhance that co-op experience and ensure students don't fall through the cracks. So a little can go a long way. And I think just it's not about the amount, it's about showcasing that commitment. So thank you for leading the way in that charge.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to add, Kate, is that, personally, I've always actually wanted to be able to provide like scholarships or ways for students to succeed, somewhat through me. But at least this way, working with Waterloo, I had a lot of opportunities to do so. Kate made it very easy to understand, like, hey, these are like the sponsorship opportunities that we have here at Waterloo. But also as like kind of a conversation and convincing point to my execs, it was fairly easy because of the past and experience that we've had with the Waterloo students. So to me, it was kind of things all aligning really nicely in terms of making it an easy discussion, and also being a really great way to have an impact.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Chris. And I think the magic happens when you see the impact of your giving and involvement and the difference it makes for students. And don't worry, like we can still work on an individual strategy and gift in the future. So good to know. I feel the same way. So we welcome any comments and questions from the audience, of course, that you may have for Chris. So please add those in with the time we have left. But lastly, like for the audience, Chris, the last question is really, there are a range of folks joining us on this session. And, the question is, what advice do you give to others who like you really, we've all drank the Waterloo Kool-Aid. We love recruiting Waterloo students, but everyone has different constraints. And so what advice do you have for folks to just start this journey and figure out, okay, what are ways that I can show up differently on campus?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say just get it started. You don't have to jump in there. I'm sure Kate would love it if you just jump in there with a big check. But hey, like if you go and start it with the information sessions, you start setting yourself up by taking data, taking note of, the impact and, are the people that are attending, applying to your roles and what that, how that affects you and your recruiting strategies down the line. That will just make it that much easier to bring up the numbers to your executives and say, hey, like this is working. We can continue to do this and it'll continue to show investments back into us. At the same time, you'll be able to really learn more about all these different opportunities that Waterloo has to provide its students through you, and being able to, tug on those heartstrings of the executives is always great. But having the numbers to back it up is really what's important, at least from the executive standpoint. So yeah, I would say just get involved. For me, I actually hadn't done, like I said, this was a career shift for me. So I actually hadn't done like an information session before. Being able to fill like 2 hours of time, and you can have it as any time you want, but being able to do that kind of as right off the bat, not really knowing what it's like, I was, nervous, but it just took a kind of a leap of faith. And also, I was able to lean on my students as well. I could ask the Waterloo students, like, hey, like, have you gone to one of these? What are you expecting? What do you want? What kind of food do students really like to have there? All these other things. But I think it's just about taking that first step. And then I was truly kind of surprised on the feedback and the impact that it had.
That's wonderful. Chris, we had a question just come up here, so I'll ask now. How can you attract more students to your employer information sessions? What worked, what didn't?
Yeah, so actually, well, the team at Waterloo was wonderful. I actually didn't know either, so I asked them like, "Hey, what are the good times? What are the good sessions? Or when can I sign up?" That was really great because then I was able to understand, is it the evening ones that are good? Is it, what time of year is best? That's always good. Unfortunately, I'm realizing I'm releasing all my secrets. Will now have more competition in getting those prime spots. But the team was really great with communication in that aspect. My students mentioned that, having food at these sessions are really wonderful. I agree. I mean, being a student, it's all about, it was always about getting like free stuff and things. And once you get people in the door, you're able to kind of make your points and help them along. Something I liked to do in my sessions was, of course, promote Rippling, promote our internship program, promote, their opportunity to join us. But I also have like sessions on like, hey, how do you ace your technical interview? Having a networking session. These I think are great because anyone can attend them and feel like they're getting something out of the program. And from there, they'll have that, good association with that company and, come back and, try to do it, try to interview with us or submit their application. I also usually do this at the beginning of my recruiting season. So I can basically at the end say, hey, this is an exclusive first access to our applications. Here's the QR code, apply right now.
Yeah, I love that, Chris. And I think that speaks to how you just want to pay it forward and invest and develop young talent. You're generously giving awards for students in our Reaccelerate program, but you're also going to be leading workshops on exactly topics like that. So most of those students won't end up at Rippling, but they're going to be better for it. And so fantastic, and definitely that added value. So Jed, I hope that helps answer your question. So I would like to pass it over now to Jeff to kind of wrap up, and then we'll come back to the Q&A with any time we have left. Thank you, Chris. Always awesome to work together and see you.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Yeah, so we've talked about a lot over the last, 40 minutes here or so. A lot of different thoughts and ideas. And really, I like to summarize everything, bring it all together to give you some takeaways, some things to think about as you leave here and get back to your job and try and sort of make sense of all this. So the first thing is make sure you have a strategy, even if it's small. I think Chris nailed it. Just do it. Just get started. Talk to us, engage us. As an account manager, my primary reason for existence is to help our employers with their hiring goals and needs, and help you to understand how you can build your brand on campus. And I can engage people like Kate. I can bring in teams from our information sessions, or whatever it happens to be. We are your primary points of contact for all things hiring here at Waterloo. Think short, medium, and long-term goals. So where am I? Where do I want to be 6 months from now? And where do I want to be a year or two from now? And that's going to vary for everyone, depending on where you are in your journey. Are you a startup? Are you a well-established company that's been around for 100 years, that's been hiring for Waterloo for 50 years, or something in between? And I'm sure that most of you are probably something in between. But as Chris noted, do I have to do some internal selling? Is management on board? What's needed there? As we know, nothing happens without a budget. So often, that's a requirement as well. Again, as an account manager, and there's about 20 of us within the department, we're all based geographically. We work with hundreds, if not thousands, of employers all over Canada, the US, and in other parts of the world, helping them build their branding strategies, helping them understand things like our hiring processes. But really, our goal, our job is dedicated to helping you. So please leverage us, engage us, ask us questions. We are here to help at the end of the day. I always say my job is to make your job easy. And I really, really mean that. And finally, get creative. I see there's a question in there about, asking what types of, there was one in there. Oh, it was asked about what types of things do students enjoy. I'm always a big fan of as creative, or something that's different, or something that's not as, sort of run of the mill, so to speak. So we've had employers bring their vehicles on campus. We've had employers do puzzles. And I'm not talking about the little pieces and put them together to make the pretty pictures. I'm talking about mathematical puzzles, or puzzles that make my brain hurt kind of puzzles. Anyway, there's all kinds of, opportunities there. We are here to help. So again, please engage us, and we'll get you what you need, and get that brand built quickly and efficiently.
So I think that takes us to time. And I thank you, Chris, for answering the questions in the chat, and for everyone joining us today. A big shout out. Thank you again, Chris, for joining us. Have a fabulous week off. Jeff, great to see you. And we look forward to continuing the conversation with anyone interested on the call.